Collecting Now is an exhibition that is focused on presenting to the public treasure troves of collectors who have been collecting over the years for decades now within the Nigerian arts scene as well as contemporary African arts around the world. So that's just the whole idea of the exhibition, presenting 6 collectors, their collection in the exhibition. Okay, so when we look at the exhibition layout, it's not in a particular order, but we have each section placed collectors by collectors that way. So we start off first with the works from the collection of Bengo Yobode, which has the works of artists like Uthman Wahab, Alimi Adewale, Ben Enwonwu, Ellen Natsui, Tayo Kweye, which of course shows extensive years of collecting for over 3 decades, and of course hopes for more. And after that, we have the work of the collections of Dotun Suleiman, who also is an older collector who has been collecting for decades, whose works span, whose of course collections have a lot of works from artists like Dotun Popola, artists like Moraino Yelemi. We have works from Poli Alakija as well. So these 2 collectors are the ones you see first when you enter because of the years they have been in the collecting circle. After that, we have the section of Mrs. Daphne Neyamba, whose collection also spanned through decades of collecting. And we see the works of Gerald Chukwuma and her works, the works of Francis Agemu, Dokat, as well as the works of Ebenezer, who practices in Ibadan, and of course still shows extensive collections. Then after that, we move to the collection of Niyi Adenubi, whose collection holds works from majorly female artists, and those are also the artists he presented in this exhibition. So we have the works of Ndidi Dike, Noli Chidinma, we have the works of Deborah Shegun, as well as other female collectors in his collections. After the works of Niyi Adenubi, we find the collection of Kola, who takes a more Pan-African approach towards collecting. He has works from artists across Africa as well as diasporan artists. As well, in his collection, we presented works from Yinka Shonibare, works from Abdullahi Konate, we have works from Victor Epo, as well as artists like Uche Okeke, older artists like Uche Okeke. All these form the collections of works from Kola. Moving further, we find works from the Prince Yemisi Shillong collection that is very dominant in our own collection as a museum. Presented there just to also improve the dialogue in a very short, quick view of Nigerian art from the earliest period to its contemporary era. We have works from Ben Enwonwu, we have works from Uche Okeke, works from Ben Osagaye, Rotimi, Rome Isichie, as well as a very recent work by Chuma and Adamo. All these form the core of the works that have been displayed at the Collecting Now exhibition.
Collecting has evolved in Nigeria in the past decades in a consistent and steady way. From the early times of collecting, when it was mainly expatriates and they were very much interested on traditional Nigerian art, then there was a period when some of the early Nigerian collectors, like Prince, like Samuel Agbaju, they started collecting not only traditional and not mainly traditional art, but contemporary and modern art. Now the collecting practice is far richer. There are some collectors who are still collecting traditional art, but many of them are collecting beyond that, and some of them are already collecting beyond the borders of Nigeria. For decades, practically all collections were filled with works done by Nigerian artists, perhaps a few from Ghana and from other places, but few. Now this is changing. As you can see, in some of these collections, there are works by non-Nigerian artists. This is something. Also, if you were to look at collections of, say, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, they were mainly figurative, representational, linked to a heritage. Now this continues, and here you can see many of these, but it has gone beyond that. It is richer, it is more ambitious, it is more global, it is more enlightened, more educated. So there has been an evolution, and there is a clear progress. And what is most important, new young collectors are coming in. So this will continue changing for sure, but it's improving. Over the years, it has improved. Well, this exhibition fits very well into our plans, not only for this year, but for a few years. We are within the strategic plan we prepared some time ago, and one of our main concerns is to engage different audiences. So the previous exhibition addressed the issue of lack of visibility for artists from the north. In this case, we explore how Nigerian collectors collect. In other ones, we have addressed issues of materiality at different media used by the artists. So this is part of this effort to reach different people and address different issues. This exhibition is particularly significant because there has not been any other like this before in Nigeria, because it shows the breadth, the depth of the collecting practices in Nigeria. Many times when we think of African art, we think of how collectors outside the continent, or in this case outside Nigeria, collect, and who they collect, and what they collect, and why they collect. In this case, these are 5 of them are based in Lagos, 1 of them in Abuja. These collectors are here. Most of the works are by Nigerian artists, and to show this, the variety, and at the same time, you see some continuity, so some issues that are recurrent. This is important, and this, I think, has opened the eyes, at least to some of us, to realize that the collecting world in Nigeria is not only richer than some of us thought, but is more diverse, is wider also. So I hope this will encourage us to, and we are already thinking of the possibility of going beyond this one, perhaps engaging other collectors. Perhaps we will see how it is in the future, but this is the beginning, and this is in itself is already important and significant.
My name is Iyamba Dafinoni.
My name is Dr. Sulaiman.
I've been collecting since 1985. And I think the first time I collected, what attracted me to my first work was just the fact it spoke to me. So the work tends to speak to you, and then you then have to decide, can you afford it? So there are different things that makes you collect works.
I am motivated mostly by self-representation. I started collecting from the perspective of reading Nigerian history. I grew up partly in England, and I would visit museums and galleries and art events, and I basically saw no representation, or not a lot of representation, especially in the contemporary sense of what looked like me. So I started, just educating myself about the history of art in Nigeria, and that's how I started collecting. So I started collecting from the pre-colonial and colonial era period, and then I moved on to the younger artists that came after that. And today I'm collecting mostly contemporary African artists.
I started collecting a long time ago, and basically it was a desire to basically surround myself with beautiful objects and also support the creatives, who create these works.
Collection management. This is very, very key as a collector, because when we first started, you just paid cash, took your works, paid cash, took your works. Over the years, you've had some children of some of the artists who have made some preposterous claims that, people who have collections in their homes, it belongs to them. So my advice to young collectors in terms of documentation, ensure you have your receipts, ensure the provenance is kept, ensure you catalog your works, so that your collection has a history that you can actually trade with or hand down to future generations. So it's really key that collections are managed, photographs, documentation, and then the artist also. Authenticity is also key, because when you buy from third parties and not directly from the artist, how are you sure it's not a copy? What do you do to protect yourself from buying a fake work? Okay, so it's important you get the artist to certify that the works are authentic, because as works appreciate, you will find that copies will come into the market.
Art collecting is difficult, and managing the collection can be difficult, especially when you now have numerous pieces in your collection. I have created a storage. I converted the last room in my house into a storage, but I also try as much as possible to encourage friends and family members to collect. So I lend out my works to them sometimes to hang on their walls for like a year. I'm also invested in businesses, so sometimes I lend some of the works to the offices and stuff like that. I have a software for profiling and archiving the work, and I have about 2 people that work with the foundation and art collecting management. It's a full-time job. It's very interesting and very rewarding, but it requires dedication and a lot of work.
Well, in my own case, I have a fairly substantial collection that is beyond me personally to manage. So I have a lady who manages my collection, because I've got my collections displayed in about 6 locations across town. So she manages it, she keeps the records, and she rotates the works, and if anything needs maintenance or reframing and so on, she takes care of it. So I have a dedicated person looking after the collection.
Wow, this exhibition is amazing, because it allows those who haven't collected or owned works to see what is available. It allows those who even collect to see what other collectors have. So it's so important for us from time to time. Works are not meant to be hidden. Works are not meant to be stored. Works are meant to be seen by the public. So this is a wonderful opportunity. Even for me, I'm so thrilled to be here, because I'm seeing all kinds of works that I haven't seen. So I'm learning, and art is, you learn every day with art. So I believe and I hope collecting now becomes something that continues throughout the quarter, or maybe once a quarter, or twice a year or something. This is done, because there are loads of works hidden, loads of other women that have amazing works. I've been to their homes that have to be seen. And I'm so grateful for the MEC Shillong Museum giving all the collectors an opportunity to show the works they have.
I think that's a very important question, because the debates about it, and there's 2 minds about it. I think the point of creating art is so that it can be seen, and it can be seen the world over. So I think it's incredibly important for people who have beautiful works that serve as part of our history, should make it available for people to see as a point of education to learn from, for people to formally learn, like a school like this, or informally learn from just going to visit such galleries and museums. So I think it's incredibly important for collectors to do that. And I want to thank the Yemisi Shillong Museum of Art for including some of the pieces from my collection in this beautiful exhibition. I decided to tell the story of the contemporary Black women who are working today, and I think it's important for the world to see them. I think it's important for Nigeria to see them, and I'm incredibly proud of the entire collection of all the collectors in the exhibition.
I think this exhibition is long overdue because fundamentally my belief is that art is meant to be seen and appreciated and admired and understood and so on. And the only way we can do that is to see it. And if you have works in your house, only people that come to your house will see it. And depending on where you display it, if you have works displayed in your bedroom, very few people will see those works and so on. What I have done is to make sure my works are displayed in several locations, my home, my offices of companies with which I'm affiliated, so more people can see it. And I've always wished for a situation where more people can have access to this to works that we collect. And I also know that there's a huge amount of collection, great art in private homes and private collections. Many of those works, by the way, are in storage. Because you run out of wall space, you run out of space in your house to display the thing you collect. And serious collectors don't worry about space before they collect. They worry about where to put it after they've bought it. And so over time, you accumulate more than you can display. Yeah. So exhibitions like this for me are long overdue. So this for me is a great start. And I think we'll see, I would like to see more of it going forward.
My name's Stanley Evans from Arc Insurance. We've supported art in many ways. So one of the ways that we've undertaken support of it is to create a sectional valuation whereby works of art can be certified by Bonhams in London, and then we can insure the individual works of art, which has never been undertaken in Nigeria before. So we support it in many ways, including valuation. So the fastest growing art market in the world is the African art market. There's no other market that's appreciating as far and as fast in terms of value. So it's very, very important to continue to support art. And one of the reasons is that as I've looked around this art exhibition today, I realise from looking at the age of some of the works of art, one of them comes back to 1890 and the artist was born in 1832. And the artists in Nigeria are standing on the shoulders of giants. This really is something special. So for example, I looked at Uche Okeke's work and I was captivated by it. We're looking at something very, very special from a recently deceased artist. And that typifies the quality of art in this exhibition, which I would say is the biggest collection ever put together within Nigeria. So we're honoured to sponsor it, and I'm personally honoured to be here.
So beautiful event, beautiful collections, beautiful people. Thank you to the university, thank you to the museum. Cheers. Media.